Today's video review is on an important piece of equipment in an airsoft game, and that is the sidearm. Today's sidearm that we're going to look at is the WE 1911 Desert Warrior. This is the 4.3 inch model. The box for this gun is pretty basic, though it's a big step above WE's gas blowback rifles. As usual, you get a manual included in the box, and the gun, and one magazine. As always, this is the e-bike special for an extra magazine for only $3. Definitely worth it in my opinion. Now the only issue I have with this gun out of the box are the grips. They tend to make your hands sweat and make the gun harder to grip if you're not using gloves. But if you have gloves, what you should be using if you're in an airsoft game, the gun is just fine. Taking a closer look at the finish on this gun, the tan, it looks amazing. However, it's quite obvious that the black parts in this gun are not that great. The paint on the grip safety, frame safety, hammer, slide, catch, and magazine release are all fading. Though the tan on the frame, slide, and tactical rail are holding up just fine, though they do have scratches from my glamour shots from this review. Looking at the other side of the gun, we can see the ambidextrous features of this gun, which are only the safeties. The grip safety and the on-frame safety. Now, the 3-hole trigger does its job just fine, though it does feel a little mushy at times. Now at the front of the gun there is a 14mm counterclockwise thread, though I've opted to remove mine and sand it down a little bit. Now, the rail for this gun is removable via 2 screws on the inside of the frame. Now, without the rail on, the gun gets a much more streamlined 1911 look. Now the sights for this gun are pretty good. 2 white painted dots for the rear sight, and at the front sight you have a plain tan block, though there is a space for an insert. Now one thing to note is that the rear sight is what holds in the blowback housing. Now it's on to the functions of this gun, and how smoothly everything works. The slide moves freely and just fine after a few uses, allowing it to break in. The magazine release drops magazines pretty easily. However, the safety isn't without its problems, and it's only an issue that I have with the right side of the safety. It doesn't feel like it clicks in as positively as the left side. However, it does work. Now the biggest issue I have with this gun is the hammer doesn't drop down far enough to allow good enough clearance for the slide to move freely. However, this is only if you're manually cycling the gun and you're manually cycling it slowly. If you're shooting, this issue doesn't occur. Now it's time to shoot this gun. And of course, as a gas blowback gun, we're going to be using 0.2 gram BBs and propane. Now, at our usual distance of 75 feet, we're hitting the 17-inch target. And it's not really a testament to show its accuracy, just that you can hit a target easily at this distance. Now, I've heard that WE pistols aren't that gas efficient. However, in this clip, I shoot 40 rounds off on a 5-second gas charge. And to me, that seems pretty gas efficient. Takedown of the gun is pretty simple. Just pull the slide back to the second reference mark on the slide and push out the slide catch. With the slide catch out, you should be able to pull the slide all the way to the forward position and it should slide right off. Now, looking in the frame, there you can see the 2 screws that hold in the rail. If you're going to use the rail during a skirmish, make sure to tighten it after every skirmish, because it will develop a wobble after a while. Now, it's best to lube the slide rails and the lower frame, but that's about it that needs to be lubed. There's absolutely no steel parts in this gun whatsoever. What do you expect for under $90? Now looking into the slide, the way to remove the barrel assembly is to pull back the barrel plug and the recoil spring guide in order to remove them. Once you have those removed, you can pull out the barrel and barrel assembly. Now, the hop-up is right on the barrel. It's really hard not to miss. Now with all that out, you can see the blowback assembly. We have the nozzle. This is probably the weakest part of the gun. It's a very cheap and weak plastic, and I've had to replace 2 already. Now, in order to remove the blowback housing, you remove the screw on top of the rear sight and you remove the screw in the back of the slide. This allows you to pull out the blowback assembly as well as the nozzle and everything in it. Reassemble, just repeat your process in reverse. Slide the barrel back in, slide your barrel plug and recoil spring, make sure everything is lined up, which I failed to do so, as you guys can see from this video. Now when you have everything put back together, you could just put the slide back onto the frame rails, slide it all back together, match up your witness marks, and insert your slide catch. And the gun is put back together 100%. Make sure you do a function check before you shoot the gun. Now, onto my final thoughts of the gun. For around $86, it has a very attractive price tag on it, and from this price tag, it can make a lot of people want to buy it. And with its decent fit, finish, and performance, it seems like a good choice. However, it's not without its problems. The weak nozzle always leaves room for improvement. It's a good idea to buy a guard or upgrade nozzle. And the issues with the slide and hammer not meshing correctly keep it away from my top choices of a gun to buy if you're a beginner. It's a better idea to save up your money and buy one of WE's newer release pistols.